All right, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and I've been going over the online PDF version of AppInventor2, Create Your Own Android Apps by Wolber, Abelson, Spertus, and Looney. I'm into Chapter 11, and before we start putting in the code, I wanted to show you this. I meant to in the last lecture, but SMS stands for Short Message Service or Short Messaging Service. As they say, it's a text service component of most telephone, World Wide Web, and mobile telephony systems. It uses standard communication protocol to enable mobile phone devices to exchange short text messages. All right. It says it's the most widely used data application in the world with an estimated 3.5 billion with a B users, or about 80% of all mobile phone subscribers as of the end of 2010. I'm not sure the number has gone up since then. I would guess it has, but I would guess the percentage has gone up much more than 80%. All right. So this was what we built in the last chapter, so we're going to come in now, and as it says, we'll start by creating the first behavior. When you receive a text, send a message back to the sender inviting him or her to join the flash mob dance, whatever it was, by texting join FMDT back to that user. So we'll need the blocks that are shown in table 11.2 here. First being the texting one message received, as it says, triggered when the phone receives a text. The set texting phone number 2 to set the number for the return text. Get number, all right, which is the argument of the message received. Texting one.message, which is the invite to tell them to text, join whatever that acronym was, the actual text, join FMDT, and the message to actually send it. So they say here, if you completed the no texting while driving app, these blocks should look familiar to you. So let's put them in right now. And again, I'm not putting in the comments as the author does, but it's never, ever a bad idea to put in comments. All right. So we want the texting one message received. Which is right here. And we want to set the phone number to get number. Texting one dot phone number. All right, and we want to set that to get number, which we're going to grab from right here. And we want to set the message to join this broadcast list, text join FMTD to this number. To try to make this go a little faster, I'm going to key that in. All right, so we want to set the texting one dot message. We've set the phone number. Now we want to set the message. I think we should be able to do this. Duplicate. Was message, I believe we wanted, right? Yes. And we want to set that too, so we're going to put our own message in there. And hopefully that's still in the clipboard. There it is. Finally, we want to call texting one dot send message. All right. So what are we doing? We're getting the person's number. We're getting our text message set up to them, and then we're sending it out, for lack of better wordage. So as it says, in order to test this, you'll need a second phone, and if you don't want to, they mentioned you could use Google Voice to kind of fake it. All right. Okay. It's time to create the blocks for the second behavior. When the text message join FMTD DT rather, is received, the sender is added to the broadcast list. First, we need to define a list variable called broadcast list, which will hold all the phone numbers, and it'll be an empty list. So we want to call it broadcast list. So let's come in here and create a variable. Again, the variable will be broadcast list. All right, and we want to initialize that variable to just create empty list. All right, so they tell us to do that. I already did. Next, modify the texting1.messageReceived event handler so that it adds the sender's phone number to the broadcast list if the message received is join FMDT. So you can already tell we're going to need an if block in there, as it says, to check the message. We don't want to add the person if they're already in there. We don't want to allow the message to be broadcast yet if they're not in there. So what we're going to need is all the stuff in here, but it's basically what I just told you. A little more complex, as you can see. And as the author mentions here, the first row of blocks sets texting1.phone number to the phone number of the message just received. We know we're going to respond to the sender, so it just sets this up. The app then asks if the message text was the special join FMDT. If so, the phone number is added to the broadcast list, and congratulations, the message is sent. If it's something other than join FMDT, the reply message repeats the invite message. After the if-else block, the reply message is sent. So we're going to do this. And then I thought of something I wanted to mention to you earlier, which I'm going to in just a couple minutes. All right. So this is going to be a texting1 message received. All right. We've already got that in there. We've got the set. We've got all this. So we've got the set texting number to get number. That's good. All right. We want an if-else block in here. So I'm going to pull out this right there, and I'm not going to get rid of it because I still want to use it, but I want to come in here into my control and put an if-else block in. And that's going to say if get message text equals join FMDT. So we'll need to come in here with our math and put in equals. And we want to check then the get message text. And if that is equal to join FMDT. All right. Then we want to add basically we want to add their number to the list. So we need to add items to list. I don't think that's where we want to hook that onto, though. That's where we want it. Okay. Don't know why that looked funny, but it did. And we want to get broadcast list and a get number. So we want to do both. All right. Then we want to set the broadcast list label to get broadcast list. And we want to set the texting message to congrats, you have joined the FMDT broadcast list. Let's put that up above this one. Then we need an else in here. All right. So otherwise, we want to set it to that inviting them to join. I think we already have that, don't we? We already did. So I'm going to put that in just 1 second. This is the last video. All right. Now, what we want to do is we want to send this reply in either case. So that goes there. Note the difference. If we had it here, it would only send the message if we were inviting them to join. But if we're going to send them congrats, you have joined, not going. All right. We want to send them a message either way. All right. So as it says, from a phone not running the app, send the message to join. All right. And next, we want to broadcast the actual messages. Let's do that. I think we still have time here. We're at 12 minutes, so that should be okay. So it says, next you'll add the behavior so that the app broadcasts receive messages to all the members in the broadcast list, but only if the message arrives from a number already stored in that list. This requires additional complexity, so more control blocks, including another if-else and a for each. You'll need an additional if-else block to check if the number is in the list, and a for to broadcast the messages to everyone in the list. We'll also need to move the if-else blocks from the previous behavior and put them into the else part of the new if-else. So again, as shown here, it's a little bit more complex. The app, as it says, has become complex enough that it requires a nested if block, which we'll be able to see in just a minute. A nested if block is an if within an if. In this case, the outer if-else branch checks to see whether the phone number of the received message is already in the list. If it is, then it does the broadcast. If not, all right, it's going to branch. So you can see how complex this is getting. So this is what we have, I believe, in here right now, is all of this stuff right here. So everything that we have here in this if, all right, I'm going to bring that down for now. And I'm also going to bring down this. All right. It's not going to, yeah, okay, it is. So now we want another if else, and this will be if is in the list. And that else, I believe, is where we're going to plug all this into. All right, and now we've got to build the if. So if is in the list, and that will be get number and get global broadcast list. If that's the case, then we want to do this. The rest of the stuff I believe we have here is already done, but we'll double check. So we want to set the message to get message text. All right. And then we want to put the for each block in here. So for each item in list, get the global broadcast list. So this is for each item. This is from, to, and by, which I don't think we're using, are we? No. Is that the only? There's a for each. I think that's, oh, wait, that's what we want is this one. All right, so I'm going to get rid of this. Stuff that in there. For each item in list, we want to get global broadcast list. We want to set the phone number to get item. And we want to call texting1.send message. All right. Else, and I think that's everything we already have. Set texting1 phone number to get number. If the message is join FMDT, we want to do an add items with a get broadcast list and get number. We want to set the broadcast list label to get broadcast list. We want to set the texting message to congrats, you've joined the FMDT list. Good. Else, we want to set the texting message to join this broadcast list. Text that. And then finally call texting1.send message. And there's that. Okay? So I believe we've got everything in here. They mention here if, in general, if and if else blocks can be nested to any level you want or need. Typically, if you go more than 3 or 4 levels or so, all right, the computer will never get confused. You might. The computer is a literal animal, so it'll always do whatever you tell it to do, regardless of whether or not it makes sense. It'll at least attempt to do it. So as it says, the message is broadcast by using a for each within the outer if clause. This is going to basically send the message to everyone on your list. So it iterates through the broadcast list and sends the message to each item or each phone number that's on there. All right, let's come back in a couple minutes and we will work on beautifying the display next.